We are in the stewardship period of the church. That is a fancy word for fundraising. And the lectionary is bringing to us in this season, lectionary means those prescribed biblical passages for individual Sundays, are bringing for us a story of the widow's mite. It was actually last Sunday, but I like that and I would like to preach on it today. And one say, what a coincidence that we have widow's mite coming at this time of the year. It is that story about Jesus sitting at a temple donation box, and rich people gave large donations and a poor widow threw in just a few pennies. And Jesus pointed out that she gave all she had, all her living. And I find it greatly troubling how this story is used and frankly abused in churches for fundraising. That poor widow is set up as an example of generosity and church giving. And I think it is wrong. Understand me well. Generosity is laudable. It is praiseworthy. But that is not what Jesus meant and why this story is in the Bible. And first, we need to listen to the context of that story. And so now I will ask Elder Sarah Lata to read that story to us within a little broader context from Gospel of Mark, Mark 12, verses from Mark 12:38 through Mark 13, verse 2.
As Jesus taught, he said, "Be on guard against the religious moralizers. They love to show their religion and how they dress and lengthy greetings in public. They like having front seats at worship and places of honor at public events. They are those who repossess houses of widows while they pray for them with their silver tongues. They will receive their just deserts." Then he sat in the temple by the collection box, watching people giving money. Many rich people gave large sums. Also, a poor widow came and put in just a few coins, hardly more than $1. Jesus remarked to his disciples, "Truly, this poor widow gave more than anyone else. All of them gave from their plenty, but she gave from her misery. That was all she had, all her sustenance." Then, as he was leaving the temple, one of his disciples pointed, "Look, teacher, just look at those stones and those magnificent buildings." Jesus responded, "Are you really impressed by it? Soon, not a stone will be left on another. All of it will be a pile of ruins."
Friends, those are actually two stories kept together. A doublet, a parallel stories. They share that their subjects are widows, and grunt of those stories is criticism of established religion. One's synagogue on one side, another one is temple. But before we go any further, I need to highlight here something. Widow in the Bible and in the entire ancient Near East was not about a marital status. It was not about the marital status like you have now, single, married, widowed, divorced, or something like that. No. That would be completely wrong. It is not about it. If you hear about widows in the Bible or in other ancient texts, perk up your ears. That is almost like an statement signal what we will be talking about. Like today, if we hear about refugees, and we know about military, political, or ecological unrest, it is under our skin. We immediately shift our attention that direction. Or if we hear about homeless these days, that means we are talking about social and economic injustice in our society. So biblical widows are also about justice for the most vulnerable, and especially about social justice for the poor. That is what we should pay attention when we hear about widows. And now we can talk about those two stories. First one about Jesus pronounces a harsh judgment over the Pharisees, describes them as hypocrites. They love appearances, respect, show off their faith. But then they put widows' houses, their homes, their livelihoods in danger. We don't know how exactly, because the word which is used there, katestio in Greek, literally means eating up, devouring. I translate it as repossessing their houses. Take away, misappropriate, cheat shamelessly of their property. All the while offering long prayers on their behalf. I hope it is clear, more than evident, that Jesus did not praise timidness of those widows who are being repossessed or cheated of their property. He criticized those who took advantage of them, who abused and exploited them while hiding behind the cloak of prayer under the pretext of piety. And to make it even clearer, Jesus then pronounces a direct judgment. They will receive their just deserts. That was criticism of religion of scribes, of Pharisees, of synagogue of that time. Next comes Jesus' criticism of the temple religion. So we see Jesus sitting by that offering box, and rich people give great sums, and the poor widow few coins. And Jesus points out that she gave all her livelihood, all she had for her living. Literally, she gave all her life. Bios. And friends, I cannot help it. To me, that is not praise of the widow as much as criticism of the temple religion. It is criticized for fleecing a vulnerable, credulous, poor woman, the one who least could afford it. And again, to make it even clearer for us, Jesus pronounces a direct judgment over the temple. Soon there will be no stone left upon a stone. All will be a big pile of ruins. And now you know why I am against using gift of a widow for fundraising purposes, especially in religious organizations, especially in churches. 20 years ago, when I preached on this text for the first time, I used a modern illustration of televangelists, those religious charlatans preying on their poor elderly audience. Oh my, I did not get it got so much worse. All those mega churches largely built from offerings of the poor. And all that propaganda of prosperity gospel. Give money to us, the seed money to church, and God will repay you manifold in abundant blessing. And if you are poor, it is a divine judgment. You need to give even more, either to hide it, or even better, to lift up that judgment from your shoulders. Because that is the proper way. Oh, Martin Luther will be up in arms in this. We recently had Reformation Sunday, and you know that that was one of the things. You cannot buy yourself into God's favor. But it got even worse. Those long prayers and magnificent religious structures morphed into indoctrination and religious brainwashing. So, for instance, I have been in West Virginia to visit Helvetia. It's a small town settled by Swiss immigrants who were kind of lured there, cheated more or less. But they established themselves, and they have a lovely Presbyterian church there, a small island of Switzerland. All around that in rural West Virginia, just destitution, utter misery, and people brainwashed by dangerous religion to reject help, to resist hope, not only for themselves, but for everyone else, for the entire nation. I was there 5 years ago, and I hear that it got even worse. So that is one example. And recently, just a few weeks ago, I returned from a trip to the rural Arizona. It is a land of people without masks, unmasked and unvaccinated. In a village of a few boarded businesses, dilapidated gas station, and ubiquitous dollar store, a big church sign inviting for a healing prayer worship. They are not vaccinated. They rejected it. They don't have health insurance, predominantly, because they rejected that. Only endless silver-tongued prayers protect them from the pile of ruin. But to that ruin, they are pulling along everyone else around them. And here I must say, I want to follow Jesus. Jesus did not criticize those widows. Jesus was after those structures and institutions who were preying on them, who were juicing them, who were abusing them, who were brainwashing them. What is happening to our Christian religion? And it is not only here. I still pay attention to what is going in my old homeland. In Czech Republic, it is relatively fine, but right next to it or close nearby, especially in the Balkans now, the Orthodox Church, the conservative Orthodox Church in the Balkans, and I heard specifically about Romania, is also a formidable force against the vaccination. So what is happening to our religion? People are indoctrinated against their best interest, brainwashed to reject medical help and seek charlatans. Any surprise that Jesus uttered those strong words and cursed such abuse of religion? But then Jesus not only cursed, he also offered an alternative. And friends, Holy Communion right in front of us here is a symbol, reminder, a token, a model for everyone being welcomed, supported, and fed. A space where we learn, we experience, we are reminded of commonality, of mutuality, of loving and caring for one another and for all around us. For that reason, I am so happy that we are celebrating communion right today. It's a token. It's an expression of hope. It is our positive protest for communion of community. We bond together to care for one another, to protect one another, and to care for all around us. Amen.